Okay, 92 days out, I think. Speed bench, upper hypertrophy, secondary press type day. Already ran the speed bench, only filmed my last set, which kind of bit me in the ass because we upped the bandage from last week, kept the rest periods really freaking short, and I'm not sure how much of it was me being pumped to shit by that 6 set of 5 or just being too much bandage for the bar weight, but it got a little bit sloppy, which I'm not super proud of. But I mean, the best solution is to go get stronger, so we're gonna go crank out some dumbbells.
And if you're new to the channel, this is me documenting everything it has taken and everything it will take to go from ripping my pec off the bone and getting it reattached all the way to hitting my lifetime goals on the platform. So far, we came back from that pec tear in under 9 months to hit an all-time PR total, then started the process of losing over 100 pounds of body weight so that we can build back better, which is what we are working on right now. Not a whole lot of this has been fun or easy, but my hope is by sharing the journey, you'll be able to learn something that will make you a better lifter, and more importantly, it will show you that no matter how tough a situation looks, as long as you don't quit on yourself, it will get better.
And last week was a pretty damn big push of the 180, so we'll do a couple light feelers here and decide if it's going to be a bigger push today or a push a lighter weight until it gets really hard sort of session. Damn it, it's going to be option 2. And I mean, I'm not super excited to be going with option 2 here, but thinking about what I need to be doing right now, I don't need to be forcing it this far out from the meet. I need to be making sure that I get to the meet as healthy as possible. And as much as I'm making the lame choice, I think it's going to be the better choice for doing well on meet day. I thought I had something smart to say, but then when I picked up the dumbbells and walked to the bench, I totally forgot. So I'll save it for after the set. Okay, I got it. If you want to be a good lifter, you need to learn how to push yourself. If you want to be a really good lifter, after you learn how to push yourself, you need to learn what it's appropriate to not really push. And like for me right now, numbers have been freaking cruising the last week and a half. So on a day where things feel a little bit questionable, I'd rather err on the side of caution so I can keep the stuff that matters cruising as well as I can. And last week, remember I was talking about the elbow being a little bit spicy from pushing the rolling extensions too hard the week before. And last week I avoided the rolling extensions. This week, instead of avoiding them, I'm just going to run them ultra light, making elbow therapeutic, because if you hurt yourself on a movement, kind of trying to replicate the movement and using it to desensitize can be a very powerful tool as long as we're managing loading appropriately. I apologize for how freaking boring this vlog is going to be to watch, but I still think it is an important one to make because talking about things that are going to be relatively important for managing a meet prep. And I mean, you can probably go heavier than 35s because not even feeling the elbow at all here. And Miana had the 60s out for her dumbbell presses, so hopefully this is still appropriate for that therapeutic intent. And I'd say that was about perfect because started out a little bit spicy, but then spice went down to 0 by the end of the set. So we'll run another. So hopefully we can continue that less spicing on this one. Oh yeah, feels good. Which means like I'm tempted to go up, but we'll just go till this gets hard so we can move forward next week. And with reps being driven really high there, how fat those dumbbell handles are, forearms are freaking blowing up. I was kind of thinking last night, like, normally when deadlift strength starts to ramp up during a meet prep, my grip does feel a little bit wonky, like the first couple big jumps in weight that I take on deadlifts. But I think handling those big, fat, stupid dumbbells, like grip feels better than ever, so I'm stoked. And what I'm thinking for this week is with us jamming on the triceps first, got to do something that'll be a little bit more delt squeezy. So we're revisiting this freaking lovely notchless shoulder press. Gotta put more weight on because it is pretty light, but feels good. Like very elbow appropriate. I wish I could still get out here. I don't think I can. And like the downside of this is like with how thick my upper back is getting, like I could get one hand under to go out wide, but we'll just make do with the neutral handles for today. But elbow feels perfect. Delt's getting pumped. We'll have some fun. We'll go up a little bit for the next one. And what I'm thinking in regards to like how the elbow feels right now, how much pop I feel like I have today. Obviously, we are working with it. We are making the best of it for the circumstances. We're trying to not do anything stupid and dig ourselves into a bigger hole. But I think the fact that I do feel like this tells me that even though all of my max effort stuff has been moving really well, I probably could afford to go for a little bit less push in the short term, just so we can sustain more better sessions in a row. And like the reason I wanted to grab this machine over that pendulum that we used last week is like the pendulum last week, like you kind of got to like punch it through, whereas this you can really contract through the whole range, and it just makes the shoulders feel so juicy. I also realized this was in the way of my face, so I'm not going to retake that shot. So sorry. And for feeling good tricepy stuff, part 2, running the band push down again, and just trying to really get a good squeeze through the bottom. It is a lot less tension on the chin-up bar than the monolift, so getting a little bit more stepped ahead, but it'll be adequate. Then we're gonna bend over. We're figuring it out. I'm gonna grab more band for the next set so we don't have to do a million reps again. Added a black, not sure if you guys can see it on the camera. I can't see it on the monitor because the monitor is really small, but hopefully this is a little bit more appropriate. Yeah, we're having to push through a little harder. Feels good. actually really freaking stoked how the elbow felt on those compared to last week. So think we are on the right track. And to continue the making sure we feel good for Monday's main bench session, gonna jam on a couple more sets of these full range push-ups. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So we'll run round 2 here. Yeah, those are, like, I think that these are probably my all-time favorite movement to run if I'm ever feeling clunky through the shoulders or elbows or just like anything pressing related, because just like easing into that stretch, having to push out with serratus, it just makes shit feel wonderful. And like, as much as I don't love these training sessions where I am choosing not to push, if I'm thinking about every single problem I've ever had in my entire powerlifting career, it's always comes down to just pushing when I should have chosen not to. And even like the most recent fatigue hole I dug myself in, that was pushing when I should have chosen not to. So if I can choose to not push on a day where it is questionable, where I do feel like if I did push, I'd push myself over that edge, I know that I am going to be better off on Monday, and I would way rather choose to slow down today to have a better Monday than to try to force today and have another shit big training session. So I'll stop rambling. And on that note, we're going to revisit the ultra wide boys with pull downs, just so I can get a little bit more scap separation from the rib cage, because that is feeling a little bit sticky right now, in addition to the elbow. Most likely totally unrelated to the elbow. I think it's more an issue of having a really big deadlift last night, but we'll try to let them drift out a bit. And that is far too heavy. I forgot how aggressive this machine is. And if this doesn't feel appropriate, I probably should just go home. Felt good. And the hope is by keeping this a little bit lighter, making sure we actually are squeezing all the way through the bottom and not just momentuming it down here, we're actually going to grow some lats instead of just swinging our rib cage around, because we need a little bit more of that. Yeah, I think that worked. And I'm very grateful that this machine is a little bit awkward to figure out, because everything else in the gym that is root out related that I want to use right now is being used. So we'll jam on this guy again. And like, the problem with it is that when I went bilateral, like, my shoulders are like the wrong size to match the pivots, and I just kind of like bind up. But if I run it unilateral, scoop myself over, then we can make it work half decent. So we'll make it work half decent. And like, it doesn't feel as overall upper back like rhomboid gnarly as versus pec deck, but it probably is a lot better directly for rear delts. So I'm not complaining if we can blow them up. Yeah, I'm okay with this substitution. Miata just walked over and was like, I thought you didn't want to use this thing. And like, well, I wasn't planning on using this thing, but I am grateful that it is here and we figured out how to make it work. So we'll make it work for round 2. Blowing right up. And like, now that we got this figured out a little bit better than we did last week, this might be like bumping up my rear delt option tier list, and we'll probably do it a little bit more often because that pump is glorious. And now for biceps. Saw something a little bit curious the other day that I am kind of intrigued by. Basically, it was just a dude doing this curl single arm, and it's kind of like, that might solve the problem of it being too light to really dig into bilaterally. Also realized my head's out of frame, so we'll deal with that for this, but single feels freaking phenomenal. Woo! I like this. Like, it's easier to separate the arm from the rib cage and getting a way gnarlier squeeze. That is insane. And made sure to tilt the camera up a little bit. Yeah, I'm a fan of this. Can probably add a little bit more weight for set 2, but feels good. Try to rotate away a little bit. Whew. And that has me thinking, on the tricep side of things here, I probably should try that single arm out too, so I'm not limited by the weight stack size. Ab stoked. Didn't think that machine could get any better, but apparently it did. And all of the cable towers right now are looking hella busy, and I do not want to fight over them to do my hip flexors, so I think the best bet, instead of pivoting to something else, is just going to be to run the hip flexors when I get home. So I promise I'm going to run the hip flexors when I get home, because I know that it is going to be very important to have a half-decent squat on Saturday to prime them today, so we are definitely going to crank them. I'll probably actually film myself when I get home running my hip flexors as proof that I actually did do it, but we are going to make sure that we actually do it. But like today's session, not the session that I necessarily wanted to have, but definitely the session that I needed to have in order to progress forward in the big picture. And what I mean by that is kind of like I've been saying the last few episodes, where right now my biggest enemy for this meet prep is myself and my tendency to want to force things and believe that I can make it happen. Because a lot of the times, like on a day like today, I probably could have made something pretty cool happen on the dumbbell press, but had I made something pretty cool happen on the dumbbell press, well, I might have just cratered myself and had a similar squat to the last day that we forced it on the dumbbell press. So trying to learn from my mistakes in order to make it smoother. And it's like, it's not the funnest to know that I'm holding myself back, but it's like the holding myself back, not only am I going to be more physically ready going to the next meet, it's like I'm sitting here like mentally hungry for the next training session. And I think that alone is going to go a very long way. And as much as, again, I'm not like, yay, I slacked off, but I am trying to be at least proud of myself for making smarter decisions. And we'll see if this was the smart decision in a few days, but I'm thinking right now that I would rather have this and think that I'm giving myself a chance at having a better Monday than forcing it and ending up feeling like Monday kicked my ass. So I just got distracted by some guy putting a bench in my model lift that I'm confused by, but I'll just try to ignore that and finish out this conclusion. But I think what I was saying is I'd rather make the bet that I know will give me the best chance of having a better Monday press session than take the chance that I might be able to force today and still do decent, because at my current age, the amount of times I'm able to force it and it works out well, that it doesn't happen very often. So I will shut up at this point and say goodbye. Peace out. Have a good night. See ya in the team. As promised, here's me in the basement. Foot has the Spud Inc. hamstring strap attached to it, which I'm using for cable hip flexor raises, but like it works for leg curls, also works for hip flexors, so we're doing our hip flexors. Don't worry, guys. Getting it done.